All right, let's dive right in. We're talking about Greenland, this vast frozen island at the very top of the world. And it's wild, because this giant sheet of ice has somehow become the center of a new global power struggle. Today, we're going to figure out exactly why.
Things really kicked off with blunt statements like this one. The idea of the US trying to acquire Greenland, it sounded like a late-night talk show joke to a lot of people, right? But what it really did was expose this fierce, high-stakes obsession that's been bubbling under the surface for more than a century.
So yeah, that's the big question here. What is it about this seemingly empty, frozen wasteland that has the world's superpowers, we're talking America, Russia, and China, all scrambling for a piece of it? And the answer? Well, it's way more complex, and honestly a lot more important than you'd probably guess.
Okay, so to really wrap our heads around this, we gotta start with just how bizarre this whole thing seems on the surface. Greenland is a land of incredible extremes, and understanding that is key to seeing why the world's sudden interest is such a big deal.
Just look at these numbers for a second. The scale here is kind of mind-blowing. You've got the world's largest island. It's bigger than Mexico and Saudi Arabia put together, but it has fewer people than a small town. 80% of it is buried under a thick sheet of ice, and we're talking temperatures of -30°C on a normal day. So on paper, this is not exactly prime real estate.
But here's the kicker. This is not a new thing. All the recent headlines are really just the latest page in a very long story of American desire to control this massive island up north. I mean, just look at this timeline. The US has been after Greenland for a long time. The first shot was way back in 1867, right when it was buying Alaska from Russia. But Congress basically laughed it out of the room. They tried again in 1910. That didn't work either. Then you fast forward to after World War II, and President Truman gets serious. He offers $100 million in gold. Denmark still said no, but it did let the US build some military bases. This shows a steady, strategic interest that goes back over 150 years.
So, all that history brings us to the real question. If the US wanted it 100 years ago, why the huge, intense push right now? What's changed that's turned this old interest into a full-blown geopolitical emergency?
All right, the first piece of the puzzle is all about military strategy. Cold, hard, location-based strategy. Because when it comes to controlling the Arctic, Greenland's location is pretty much perfect.
And this map really says it all. I mean, just picture a globe in your head. Greenland is parked right at the top of the world, sitting squarely between the US and Russia. Whoever controls that piece of land has an incredible strategic advantage. It's like an unsinkable aircraft carrier in the Arctic.
And the thing is, the US is already there in a big way. This place, what's now called Patuxent Space Base, it's one of America's most important military bases anywhere in the world. It has this incredibly advanced radar system that's designed to do one thing: spot any ballistic missile launched from Russia the instant it takes off. Why? Because the fastest way for a Russian missile to hit the US mainland is to fly right over the North Pole.
Okay, so here's where it gets really tricky. See, there's a growing independence movement in Greenland. Right now, it's technically part of Denmark. But if it breaks away and becomes its own country, it could turn to the US military and say, time to pack your bags. And that would basically shut down America's northern watchtower. It would be like turning off the lights. That's a risk Washington is absolutely not willing to take.
But wait, it's not just about military bases and missiles. As all that ice starts to melt, it's revealing what's underneath. And what's underneath is basically a giant, buried treasure chest filled with the resources our modern world is built on. Okay, look at this chart. This is huge. Right now, China basically has a stranglehold on what are called rare earth minerals. We're talking 90% of the world's supply. These are the building blocks for everything from our smartphones to advanced weapons. And lately, China's been more than willing to use that as a weapon, threatening to cut off exports to get what it wants.
And that is why Greenland is suddenly so important. Geologists believe Greenland is sitting on one of the biggest stashes of these exact same minerals in the entire world. We're talking neodymium for electric cars, gallium for AI chips, uranium for nuclear power. Getting access to that would completely shatter China's monopoly. It would redraw the technological map.
And it doesn't stop there. On top of all those tech-critical minerals, geologists estimate there are at least, get this, 31 times billion barrels of oil just off the coast of northeast Greenland. And who knows how much more is under the rest of the island. It's an unbelievable energy prize just waiting there.
Okay, but even with all that, the military high ground, the buried treasure, there's one more piece to this puzzle. And it might be the biggest prize of all, something that could completely reshape the global economy that's been locked away under ice for thousands of years.
What we're talking about is the birth of brand new shipping lanes right through the Arctic. As the planet warms and the ice melts, a new maritime superhighway is opening up at the top of the world.
This comparison here, this is the whole story. Right now, if you want to ship something from China to London, you got to go all the way down and through the Suez Canal. But this new Arctic route, it shaves off about 9,000 kilometers. That saves anywhere from 10 to 15 days of travel time and literally millions of dollars in fuel for just one single trip. This isn't just a shortcut, it's a complete revolution for global trade.
So here's the bottom line. Greenland is sitting right at the front door of this new passage. So whoever controls Greenland, well, they effectively control the toll booth on this brand new global superhighway. You get to decide who gets to use it, when they can use it, and what they have to pay.
And suddenly, you can see the new Cold War taking shape. Russia's got this huge Arctic coastline, and you bet they want to tax anyone who passes through their waters. China, meanwhile, wants to build what it's calling a polar Silk Road to lock in its control over trade. And the US? It's looking at all this, and it's terrified of getting locked out, with its two biggest rivals holding all the keys to the future of commerce.
So, you see, this is way more than just a geopolitical chess game. If the US makes a hard play for Greenland, whether they try to buy it or take it, the fallout could be just staggering. It would send shockwaves around the entire world.
I mean, the stakes really could not be higher. Think about it. Forcing a NATO ally like Denmark to give up its territory, that could blow the whole alliance apart. It could permanently shatter the trust between the US and Europe. It could kick off a dangerous new might is right era, where big countries just take what they want. And let's not forget the environmental nightmare it could unleash, or the fate of the 57,000 people who actually call Greenland home.
Which leaves us with this one final, really urgent question. The ice in Greenland is melting, no doubt about it. And as it disappears, it's revealing both incredible opportunities and incredible dangers. So the future of Greenland is really a test for all of us. Can we figure out how to manage these new frontiers together? Or are we just going to fight over them, turning the Arctic into the first battleground of the 21st century? And honestly, the answer to that question might just define the next 100 years.